Neurolastic exercise for strength and coordination. Hi, my name is Doug. I've been a physical therapist for 30 years and I specialize in helping people with balance problems learn to walk again. Welcome to Neurolastic Exercise for Strength and Coordination. This is a 30-minute class that can help anyone improve their strength, coordination, and balance. It's especially meant for someone that has a neurologic injury, such as a stroke or Parkinson's disease, or who's falling or stumbling. Even if you're just getting afraid that you might fall, this class is for you. Let's get started. To do today's class, you're going to need 1 or 2 pieces of equipment. Ideally, you want to have a chair that you can sit on that's sturdy and something in front of you like a chair or a countertop. If you can, some of the exercises today are going to involve stepping up on a step. Now I have this handy step that I bought from Amazon. You could use a phone book. You don't have to use a step at all. You could even use a couch cushion. Anything that you can step on top of will be helpful. I'm going to put that aside right now. One more thing that you might want to get is a cushion for your chair. I'm not using one today just for doing the filming. But there are some exercises where you're going to stand up and sit down. So if you're finding any difficulty with that, you might want to put a cushion in your chair just to make it a little bit easier. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to do the first exercise, which is knee extension. You're going to sit down on your chair and you're just going to kick your leg all the way up and all the way down. Right leg and the left leg. And we're going to try to do this for 1 minute. So just go as slow as you want and try to pace yourself. This is really just part of the warm-up. And you want to make sure that you're really squeezing the muscle on top of your thigh. So when you lift your leg up, you should feel this muscle tightening up and try to get your knee as straight as you can. And the same for the other leg. And you notice I'm just doing one leg at a time. Some people might try to do both legs. I guess it seems more efficient, but that actually puts a lot of strain on your back. Okay, so next exercise is a pillow squat. I just put my pillow on my chair. I'm going to sit down on it. I recommend that you use a pillow because we want to try to do as many reps as possible. To do this exercise, you cross your arms across your chest. You're bending forward until your head is over your knees and trying to stand up and then sitting back down. And you just keep repeating that, standing up and then sitting down. And we're just going to do this for a minute. Standing up, sitting down. If you find that's too hard, put your hands on the chair and push up and then back down. If you have to really push up, that's okay. You could even grab the thing in front of you, the chair in front of you to help you. But I recommend that you try to do it like this as you get stronger. And if you need to take a break, if 2 or 3 is all you can do, just take a break and rest. You don't have to do every single repetition that I do. Okay, almost done with this. I'm going to put my hands here. This exercise builds the strength in your quads, in your buttocks, and in your hamstrings. It's probably the best single exercise you can do for your leg strength. And what's interesting is you'll get as much benefit if you put a couple of pillows as if you use no pillows. If you're stronger, you don't need to use a pillow. If you're weaker, put 1 or 2 pillows there. Okay. Now the next exercise we're going to do in standing, so I'm going to bring my chair closer to me. This is called a weight shift. So you're just going to shift all your weight onto one leg, lifting your leg up to one side, and then all your weight on the other leg, lifting to one side. I'm going to move my step out of the way. All to one side and then all to the other side. And this is a balance exercise. It helps teach someone how to better shift their weight. People that shuffle, people that don't lift their feet up when they're walking, who stumble, they do that because they're afraid of lifting one leg up off the ground. I've been doing this for 30 years and I've concluded that that's the main reason that people shuffle. Is for whatever reason, and there's a lot of times there's good reasons, they just can't lift one leg up off the ground. So this is a way of practicing it with the chair in front of us. Now if you're finding this to be really easy, you could let go. But if you're like most people, you might want to hold on with one hand or even both hands. The important thing when you're doing this is to practice shifting your weight over the leg that you're standing on. And you see how I'm kind of leaning to one side and leaning to the other? You really want to exaggerate that. Believe it or not, that's a normal way to do this exercise. The problem is a lot of people, they tend not to shift their weight. They'll do it like this. See how I'm not shifting my weight? And that's not what you want. You want to practice shifting your weight, because shifting your weight is how you improve your balance. When you shift your weight over your leg that you're standing on, you're actually less likely to fall, less likely to have a problem. But our brains, when we're afraid of falling, are telling us the opposite, not to shift our weight. And that's wrong. The ideal thing is to learn to shift your weight over the leg you're standing on and stand. Okay, now my next exercise is going to be single leg standing. This is probably the best balance exercise ever. And it's very easy to do. Grab the chair, shift all your weight to one side, lift your leg, and then balance on one leg. Now, I'm going to do this for just 10 seconds. If you can do this up to 20 seconds, it's a lot more effective. The longer you can do it, the better. But you want to make sure you have time to do both legs. It's a strength exercise in that you're putting all your weight on one leg and bearing weight on that side, but it's also a balance exercise because it really reinforces to shift your weight. You can't do it if you're not shifting your weight. So if you find that you lift your leg and you're falling right down, it's because you're not shifting enough. So if you have that problem, grab the chair, really lean to one side, and then let go. You'll notice as you lean, there's one spot where you feel balanced. That's the place you want to be. Obviously, don't. This far is too much, but right here is about right. And I'm leaning quite a bit. So if you're not leaning that much, you're probably struggling with it. And this is a great way to kind of remember how to shift your weight. Okay, I think we have about 30 seconds more of this. And another important thing is when you're doing this exercise, you want to keep your knees slightly bent. A tendency for people that are afraid is to keep their knees stiff and hyperextended. That's really bad for your cartilage, and you're actually not as strong that way. You're much more balanced and strong when there's a little bend in your knee. So if you're concerned about your knees, try to keep a bend in them. Okay, we're going to do it to the next exercise, and that is to walk backwards. So we're going to only stay in front of our chair. We're just going to take 1, 2, 3 steps backwards, turn towards your chair, and then 1, 2, 3 steps in the other direction. I'm never getting away from my chair. And if you want, you can hold on the whole time, or you can let go. Now, there's a couple of things about this that are important. One is I'm lifting my foot off the ground. If you're shuffling when you're doing it, and I'm sure a lot of you are shuffling when you're doing it, you want to really take time to lift your foot up off the ground. You can use the chair if you have to, but get your foot off the ground because that's a normal gait pattern, and that's what's going to challenge your balance. All of these exercises I'm showing you, except for the strengthening ones, are all balance exercises, and that means you have to challenge your balance for it to be effective. If you're doing an exercise for balance and you don't feel unsteady while you're doing it, if you don't feel like you could fall, it's probably not effective. In fact, the most effective balance exercises make the person almost fall, which is why you want to work with a physical therapist or a trainer because it's dangerous. But at home, we can kind of accomplish that safely by grabbing onto the back of the chair. So we've got the chair there, so go ahead and lift your feet up each time. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is sidestepping. To do sidestepping, the chair is in front of us, and we're just going to practice stepping from one side to the other. That works these muscles on the sides of our legs, but also a lot of people just don't practice this. So when they have to sidestep, they feel unsteady. That's the thing about balance challenge exercises. They force you to practice the things that you're probably not doing. I meet a lot of clients that are in their 80s and 90s that tell me, I never walk backwards. I never walk sideways. Because I ask them to do this and they struggle with it. They're struggling not really because they had a stroke or because they're, falling. they're struggling because they're just out of practice. And once we do it a few times, they feel like they can do it again. And that's a big part of balance, is being able to do these sort of other motions. Being able to walk sideways and backwards makes your forward walking a lot more stable. I'm going a little fast. You want to kind of go slow when you do this. And of course, like all of them, you can hold the chair while you're doing it. You don't have to let go of the chair. It's just as effective. And again, I am lifting up my feet as I step sideways. I'm not dragging my feet at all. Okay. And we're just about done with this exercise. And the next exercise, we're going to use our step. And again, if you don't have a step, you can just march in place while we do this. But for those that are stronger or those that have this step, I got to push my other chair in front of me because there's not a lot of room filming this. I'm going to put my step down in front of me. And you could use a couch cushion, a pillow, anything you want. And I'm just going to step up and then step down. Now, I know I'm kind of going out of the camera lens here, so forgive me for that. But it's important to see this exercise. Now, you keep doing it. I'm going to show you something. On my step, it's adjustable. It has these little feet, and I could take these off and make it a little bit lower. If you have one like this, I recommend that you start with a lower height, not such a high height. Okay, and I'm alternating feet. I'm going right leg first, step up, and then step back. And then I'm going left leg, and then step back. Now, I'm going to pull this a bit closer to me. One thing that you could do to make it more effective is if you step up with the left, step back with the left. If you step up with the right, step back with the right. The reason I say that is because a lot of people tend to favor one leg when they're on stairs. If they go up with the right leg, they might, or the left leg, they might always go down on their stronger leg or their weaker leg. And I've noticed that it's really more effective when you're doing this to kind of mix it up. So if you go up with the left, go down with the left, and then alternate up with the right, down with the right. Doing that is a more effective exercise because it's causing you to use both legs. Sometimes I think therapists make a mistake in telling people they have a bad leg or a good leg. Really, to walk and to get through the community, you need both legs. So it's really good to try to, exercise and challenge both sides. Okay, that's enough of that. I'm going to push that to the side. Now we're going to do some more strengthening exercise. I'll push this forward, and we're going to do our knee flexion. So right leg, left leg. Right leg, left leg. Right leg, left leg. Right leg. And I'm bending my knee up behind me. I'm working my hamstring muscles. I'm trying to aim my foot towards my bottom to give myself a kick in the pants, I guess. No one can really do that. I guess you have to be really flexible, which I'm not. But it's a great exercise to strengthen your leg. You notice I'm practicing my weight shift when I do it. So it's a good way also to practice your weight shift. And we're almost done with this one. And then the next one is going to be marching. Okay, so now we're going to march. So marching, we're using our iliopsoas muscle, which is the hip hiker muscle. When you walk up and down stairs or walk on really rough ground, you may have to lift your leg, and this is the muscle that's lifting your leg. So really right now we're just working on strength. I'm holding onto the chair. If I want to make it more of a balance challenge, I can stand like this. But I don't want to do that because when I'm doing strength, I want to have the full range of motion. You can bring it up nice and high if you feel real strong, but even doing it low, not lifting your leg real high, is very effective at improving your strength. Okay, so we got about 10 more seconds of this one. And let's see here. Oh, a couple more seconds. Now the next one we're going to do is the weight shift again. Okay, so now we're going to do our weight shifts, and we're going to start now. Ready? One side and then the other. One side and then the other. one side, and then the other. And I'm keeping my leg straight, that's off the ground, and the other leg is slightly bent. The leg I'm standing on is slightly bent. Probably can't see that because of my pants, but the leg I'm standing on is slightly bent. I am holding on. You could do it without holding on. And I'm not holding this very long. I'm really just shifting back and forth. It's important to practice our weight shifts. So this is probably the best and safest way to do that. And I'm just shifting right to left. Okay. Notice too how much my body is swaying over my knee as I do this exercise. Okay. I'm gonna add an exercise. We didn't do this the first round, but now that we're getting a little bit more tired, I'm gonna add another exercise. Before we do the single leg stands, I'm gonna have us do a tandem stand. So tandem stance, again, is where you put one foot in front of the other. It's also called heel to toe standing. One foot in front of the other. So my heel is touching my foot, my toes. If you're struggling, you can spread your legs apart. But if you can do this, heel touching the toe, and then I'm lifting my hands up and trying to balance on one leg. And then I'm putting the other leg forward and doing the same thing on the other leg. Now, ideally, you want to go to 20 seconds on each side. But the way I'm demonstrating it, I'm just doing a few seconds on each side because I know most of the people watching this, if they need this exercise program, they're probably struggling. Now, if you're really doing well and you're having no trouble with this, you could do single leg stands here. We're going to do those next, but you could do them here as well. Practicing a lot of single leg standing or this heel to toe standing is probably the best way to really improve your static balance. So static balance is kind of when you're standing still, and dynamic is when you're moving. But you really can't have good dynamic balance if you don't have good static balance. So I think it's so important to practice these. There's been several studies that were done that showed this type of exercise, either with your feet on the ground or just standing on one foot, is probably the most effective way to improve balance. And then the next most effective way is practicing walking backwards, which we do in this program. Okay. And we're going to stop that one. And now we're going to do our single leg stand. So we're going to stand on one leg and balance. All right, I was about 10 seconds. And then the other leg and balance. You might find that your hips and legs are getting tired from doing this. If you need to sit down and take a break, this is a good time to. We're, more than we're 2/3 of the way through our exercises today. And if you need to rest, this is a great point to rest, I think. It is still very effective to do this 30-minute exercise class, even if you rest a few times throughout it. You're welcome to skip any of the exercises I'm showing. You're welcome to do them slower or modify them. All of the research on exercise, especially on seniors and regaining their balance, says that doing it consistently, in other words, doing it every day, even if you don't do it for as long, is probably the fastest way to get better. So I really encourage you to keep at it, no matter how many times you have to rest. The resting isn't going to take away from it for most people. If you need to rest, you should rest, because you want to be strong enough to make the whole 30 minutes. All right, so I'm shifting my weight and standing on one leg, and shifting my weight and standing on the other leg. All right, I'm going to hold it just a little bit longer this time. And notice how I'm really leaning on my left because I'm standing on my left leg. I can't be here. If I'm here, it's much harder. But if I'm here, it's pretty easy. And my foot is wiggling as I'm doing it. So it tells me it's a challenge. I'm sure most of you, the same If you're not, then congratulations, you're better than me. We're going to do this just a few more times before we do our next exercise, which is backward stepping. Okay. All right, so now we're going to do our next exercise, which is backward stepping. I'll push my step out of the way. And we're going to just go back. 1, 2, 3. Turn towards the chair and turn around again. 1, 2, 3. And again, turn around. And we're just doing 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. Turn. And I know I mentioned it the first time. We want to really try to lift our feet up. This is a great opportunity with the chair next to us to practice our weight shift. So I'm shifting my weight and lifting my foot up so it's off the ground. If you're shuffling, this is the time to practice not shuffling because you have a chair there to steady yourself. See if you can do it with lifting your foot off the ground. And if you're wondering, should I wear shoes or go barefoot? It doesn't really matter. Balance is better when you're barefoot. But if you have any kind of ankle or foot problem and you're wearing a shoe that's supportive, your balance is probably better with the shoe on because it'll keep your foot in a more neutral position. But if you're able to stand barefoot comfortably, then that's going to make these exercises easier and safer. So I would recommend that. We're going to keep going. And remember, with all these balance exercises, you want to challenge yourself as much as possible. For a balance exercise to really help someone, it's got to challenge them. It's got to be something that makes them feel unsteady while they're doing it. So if you're doing this and it's really a struggle, you're doing it right. But if you're doing these and they're really easy, then let go of the chair or take a bigger step. There's a lot of things you can do that makes it more difficult, that makes it more of a challenge, which is really what you want to do. Okay, now we're going to do our next exercise, which is sidestepping. Okay, and to do sidestepping, all you want to do is just step to one side and step to the other. Now, you can have something that you're stepping over, but you don't have to. You can just step to the side. And I am lifting my foot up, and when the leg lands on the ground, I'm making sure my knee is bent. So my knee is bent as I'm standing on that leg. Now, if you watch me, you see me, I'm shifting my weight back and forth as I do it. There's a reason why we practice sidestepping, is because it also helps us remember how to shift our weight. As an aside, while we're doing this, you might think to yourself, how on the earth was I able to do this stuff before and now I can't? When you're a baby, you can't do any of this. I actually have a 18-month-old daughter at home, and I'm watching her, she walks now, but she's still learning her balance and her coordination. Believe me, she would struggle doing this and probably every so often fall. We learn balance by challenging ourselves, by playing, by practicing these movements over and over, thousands and thousands of times. And the problem is, once you master them, if you stop practicing them, those little programs don't work as well. They get rusty, and our brain has more and more trouble finding those programs. So by practicing them again, no matter what your age, you can quickly regain that ability again. But you have to practice it. Now, if you're doing this exercise as quickly as I am, I know I'm feeling it a little bit in my hips. You can certainly slow down. You don't have to take as big of a step as I'm taking, and you can hold on. If you're finding that it's hard, hold on. Easy, then let go. If it's really easy, then really lift your legs as you're doing it. Okay, now we're going to practice the tandem standing again. And then we're going to work on the steps. So we're going to push this in front of us, put one foot in front of the other, and we're practicing standing heel to toe. And if it's hard, then please spread your legs apart You can make it easier. If it's really hard, then put a finger or both hands on here. But we want to try to stand heel to toe. And I'm going to shift my weight to my other foot, or switch which foot is in front of me. And again, standing heel to toe. And the longer you can do it, the better it is for your balance, the more challenging. But if you're finding that you're all over the place, spread your feet apart a little bit. But as funny as this sounds, if you're not struggling, you really should make it harder on yourself. If you are really struggling, then you want to make it easier on yourself. You want to find that sort of happy medium of exercise. Balance exercises are just like any other kind of exercise. You don't want to overdo it because that'll just discourage you and make you feel like you're not getting anywhere. If you pick something that you struggle with, but then over time as we're doing it, it gets easier and easier, that's the ideal. That's what you want to do. And that's what'll encourage you to keep going with these exercises. Okay, and we're almost done with this tandem standing, and then we're going to do stepping up on the step and single leg stands one more time. Okay, now I'm going to have my stepper, I'm going to leave the feet off of it, and I'm putting that in front of me, and I'm going to step up on the right, down on the right, up on the left, down on the left, up on the right, down on the right, up on the left, down on the left. Now as I'm doing it, keep in mind that when I step up, the foot that's on the step first, I'm keeping that knee bent as I bring my weight up. If I don't keep my knee bent, if I have a very stiff knee, I run the risk of causing some damage to my cartilage. It's not good to have your knee stiff while you're bearing weight on it. Being stiff meaning hyperextended. So you always want to keep a little bend in your knee, whatever you're doing, especially something like this, because you're loading it with quite a bit of weight. I think my steps are getting thrown off by talking. Forgive me. But you get the idea. You want to keep alternating your feet. And if you're struggling, you can hold on. And right now, if you're really struggling, sit down and rest. Believe me, a lot of my clients would struggle to get to this point. So if you're struggling at home, pat yourself on the back that you're doing it right. This is not an easy exercise for a lot of folks, and it's just going to be time consuming. It sometimes takes months to really see a difference from these types of exercises. Okay, we're almost done with this one, and then we're going to do our single leg stands, and then that'll be the end of this 30-minute exercise class. And again, this class is ideal for anyone that's struggling with their balance for any reason. Okay, we're going to do our single leg stand, so shift, put all your weight on one leg, and then let go and try to balance. If you can't let go, one finger or two fingers, but try to let go. And then same on the other leg. If you made it this far, again, congratulations. I recommend doing this program, this class, over and over until you really get better at it, until you can make the full 30 minutes and it starts to feel easier. I'm definitely going to make more of these. I'm getting a great response from YouTube, from the people that view me on YouTube for these exercise classes. It was something that I realized recently that this might be easier for a lot of people to follow along with an exercise class rather than just instruction. So that's what this is all about. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel so you can see more like this. And also feel free to leave a comment. I read every comment and I enjoy all of the comments, even the negative ones, because I learn a lot from it. And I kind of am doing all of this to help people. And so seeing those comments really encourages me. And thank you for those of you that have commented and have subscribed. Okay, got 30 more seconds of this. And again, last time I'll say it, you can modify it however you want. You can hold on with both hands or one hand, but just make sure that you're practicing shifting your weight when we're doing it. Okay, now we're winding down, and I'm gonna stop maybe a little bit early and sit down. And again, thank you for being part of this class. And I hope that this was helpful. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe.